Now, let's have a look through this morning's papers with author Emma Wolfe and broadcaster in his blue tie, Matt Stadlam. Good morning, gang.
Morning.
Let's crack to it. Not too much time. And I don't want to get bogged down on the budget because I can't make it sound exciting. Matt, that 2p cut yesterday in national insurance in every paper. Mirror, Express, child benefit boost, a freeze on fuel and alcohol, tax on vapes. Nothing for house owners, nothing for pensioners. Not great. Not going to be a boom at all, is it?
Unless you're the Daily Express. Yeah, then we're ready for takeoff, even though we're still in a recession. I mean, is anyone going to be talking about this in the pub tonight?
No.
No. Is this going to change the dial? No. Is it going to affect what I think is increasingly a fact that very few people in this country want 19 years of Tory rule? Not much difference, actually, fiscally, between the two parties.
Yep.
But it's time for a change.
Emma, what's your take?
Yeah, massively underwhelmed. Really, was that it? When we're in
When you
crisis...
come out fighting, am I missing the point?
Where was the rabbit out of the hat? There was nothing, really.
No.
It was tax still at the highest level since 1948, and it was so underwhelming. There's literally nothing almost to say, except for that.
Do you think they'll pull a rabbit out of the hat in the autumn statement, or do you think that's it? There's no room left?
I don't... But also, if they pulled any small rabbit out of any small hat, it won't make a single jot of difference. Nothing is shifting the polls right now.
We could lend them our
dire
mouse.
levels.
I just got really angry yesterday. You see these self-serving politicians, and I watch them sitting there and laughing on both sides, trading insults, and I think to myself, the Prime Minister wasn't even elected by the British people. Everybody's having difficult times, cost of living, recession. Take it seriously, for God's sake. Give me something. I think politics, and I'm not saying politics should be about optics and what people think, but the leaders that have got to people, Thatcher, Blair, have taken the country with them because they believed in something at that moment, right or wrong. I don't feel that from Sunak, I don't feel that from Starmer, and I keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. I think people won't turn up at the election, and that's the biggest travesty in my mind, Matt.
I think that will help Starmer. I mean, we did have a charismatic leader in Boris Johnson, and look where that led us. So
we'll have an argument. He was elected by the British people.
No, I'm not a Sunak.
And they should have been able to vote him out.
I'm not a Sunak fan. We're all going to have a chance to vote again very shortly. All I'm saying about Starmer, not very charismatic, not wildly exciting, but don't we want someone who is managerial and slightly sensible? And isn't it time for a change? I don't, as I said, think there's a huge amount of difference fiscally between the parties, but people are fed up.
Well, will they be able to do anything about law and order for the rest of their time in office, Matthew? Because victims of burglaries and domestic incidents, they've had to wait up to 13 hours for police to attend. I
mean, this is outrageous. This, I think, goes back... It is a political question because the buck stops with the government. Obviously, operational...
This started with Theresa May. We ain't got enough policemen and women on the streets.
Well, they cut 20,000 police officers. Yes, they've built them back up, but the population has gone up during that time as well, and you've lost all that experience. I mean, earlier this week, we had this extraordinary story where in half of the areas in England and Wales, not a single burglary has been solved in the last 3 years.
And even that, Em, we're going, not a single one. That's an absolute disgrace. And it started with Theresa May. And what you say about experience... What about intel on the streets? What about communications with the community, the Bobby on the beat that could actually find out stuff that mattered, right?
Right. The thing about burglaries and other, violent crimes like that is that people... this is bread and butter stuff. This is crimes that the police should be solving. When you are a victim of burglary, it's been downgraded to like a minor crime. You feel frightened in your own home because you've been violated. Someone has broken into your home. Yeah. Often it's the more vulnerable people. You feel frightened in your own home, but you're also frightened to go out in case it happens again. So burglary is actually a really serious crime. There's this thing called the golden hour where the police are not attending. That's when you solve burglaries, is when they're still in the local area, when they're flogging your stuff off down the local market, when they're still around.
Completely agree. I've said it before very, very quickly. I had a mate whose dad was a copper, not a high-ranking one on the beat, and he gave it up after 30 years because, as he said, if an old lady was burgled, he'd go around there, change the lock, make tea, sit and make her feel comfortable 2 or 3 hours. Now, computer sheet, 10 minutes gone.
Exactly.
The world's changed. We need more policemen.
You get a crime reference number.
Yes.
You might even get a leaflet telling you how to manage the traumatic after effects. It's absolutely shocking.
Emma, take us through this story on the front page of the Telegraph now about weddings and vicars.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rector, the rector of St Bartholomew in the City of London, St Bartholomew the Great. And he's been railing against wedding planners, saying that they're entirely pointless, that they concoct dramas so that they can be the ones that smooth it all over. They don't understand how church services work. He can't stand them. They don't understand how church buildings work. But he also says wedding planners are employed by the devil.
Oh, I mean, that's quite a claim.
You get it, that really
clergyman.
vicars don't like photographers getting in too close at the vows. They don't like people sort of doing all that. They don't like people doing selfies. They don't like mobile phones in the congregation. You get it. But to say that wedding planners are employed by the devil, this man really doesn't like them.
I've been married twice, right?
All right, don't start.
I've done it myself both times. Do not employ, and this might not be good for the economy, do not employ a wedding planner. Why throw that money away? And when I got married the first time, we've been told that the average cost for a wedding in this country is 30 grand, something like that. Really? Is that wedding planners telling us that's the case, so that we are tempted to pay more to keep up with the Joneses?
My sister-in-law's a wedding planner. I have a very quick story. The vicar in Windsor, we hadn't gone to church. We'd only just moved to Windsor, and I found out it was a female vicar, and she's become a friend for life. Because I said to her, explain. She went, yeah, I'll marry you. And about some months later, said, do you mind christening Oliver? She went, no, we'll christen Oliver. And 3 weeks later, I said, the old man's died. She said, I'll bury him as well. And I rang her the other day, and she went, christening, death or wedding? I went, it's another christening.
She's made quite a bit of money for you.
The devil, though. They're not the devil,
No, they're not the devil, no.
But also, do you think it's because we're a bit more secular, well, a lot more secular now in the UK, and people who have church weddings might not necessarily be Christian, but they just imagined having that traditional kind of wedding, and then when they actually find out that you have to do certain things according to religion, they're a bit annoyed about it.
Exactly. And, you know, really, vicars don't want the sort of social media side of it all interfering
But they
with their beautiful ceremony.
But they also, with respect, need money for their church roofs. And so actually they should embrace... I agree.
And they do.
The heavily religious people...
Hold on, can we talk about £1 billion in reparations from the Church of England?
I tried to micromanage my second marriage, and I am still married, by the way. I haven't had two. and the vicar was so upset with me that I was trying to negotiate where I would stand. He told me to marry myself.
Well, listen, there are some pretty difficult discussions that can be had if you're divorced trying to go to a church, and I can absolutely tell you that after my second divorce, trying to get married during the pandemic to vicar, certain vicar said, and I won't tell you where, I don't agree with it because you're divorced, but if you give me £5 from a church roost, we'll bless you the day after you do it in a registry office. To me, the biggest amount of hypocrisy. But the female vicar in Windsor is a legend.
God needs money.
He does indeed. Well, Emma...
he sees and knows everything, but he just isn't so good with money.
Very, very serious story now. Men who eat fatty foods, like a full English, are more attractive to women, apparently.
Well, yeah, this is research from the Boffins. That's what they do. You know, the Star.
The Star love Boffins.
The Boffins, right? So they're saying that apparently men who eat massive fry-ups, breakfast loaded with meat and dairy products are unbelievably attractive to women, that there's nothing more sexy than, you know, someone with a very, very full belly from their fry-up.
What about you? What are you into?
Into stud muffins. Some blueberries and some Greek yoghurt in the morning. I certainly wouldn't go near anyone who'd just eaten a fry-up.
You wouldn't? No. Matt, do you like a big
Well,
fry?
I posted a picture of a proper old greasy spoon cafe breakfast, a full English that I had this week, just off Chancery Lane, and I had fries as well as hash browns. And this almost, I mean, post Elon Musk, where reach, I think, is not quite what it was on Twitter, this actually went viral. And I think it probably did a little bit for my street cred.
Amazing. I'm looking at this
Hangover
photograph
food,
here,
mate,
and actually
isn't it?
they're eating chips with a full English, which is...
That's what he just said.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But it's
food.
become a whole new...
You're a northern bird. You'd have that every day, wouldn't you, up north?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did do 15,000 steps that day to make up for it.
There you go. Good man. Well,
done.
thank you to Emma and Matthew. They'll be back in just under an hour.